What's going on, everybody? First and foremost, sorry for potential wind crackling in the microphone. We got some storms headed this way, so had to deal with a little bit of the crackling and whatnot. But anyways, hope y'all are having a good one. Figured I'd do a little update video on where I'm at with the TRX6 dump truck. I'm not even close to done yet, but I got it kind of mocked up enough to where I wanted to take her for a test run and see if I like the positioning of the bed and everything. I think the last video I'd already had the dually adapters on here. I finally got my other beadlocks in the mail. I just haven't went through and I don't know the best terminology for it, but basically I gotta go through and get all these tires unglued off of the factory TRX4 rims, and then get them all mounted up on the beadlocks. So that's going to be quite the project in itself. But what I have done here in the last day or two is remounted the dump bed portion. I actually moved it up towards the front a couple more inches. That way it's not hanging off the back quite as far. And then I lowered it down a little bit also. I really don't want to have to cut the back of the cab unless I absolutely have to, because I've got a couple body pins kind of help hold it all together there. So if I end up having to move the dump bed forward more, then I'm gonna have to figure out something else for the back end of the body to be mounted on. Then I got the little makeshift bed sides put on here to kind of help cover up the aluminum angle that the dump bed's mounted on. None of this is like permanent finished yet. I would like to fill in this gap here, even though I don't have that particular piece of the body anymore. Like a dumbass, I threw it away before I knew what I was going to need it for. I do still have the tailgate. I'm not sure how I'm going to do this because of the way that dump bed is angled. And it's not sitting straight at the moment either. I've still got some tweaking to do there, but I'm not concerned about that. But the way that these body panels are mounted on here, it's kind of got them kicked in at the bottom, so I'm gonna have to figure something out to get those straightened up, and then I'll be able to put the tailgate section of the Lexan body back on, and it'll cover all of that nonsense up. It should look halfway decent. And then once I get down to that stage of it, then I'll cut the excess off of those screws that are holding the fenders on there. But I've got to the point where I'm ready to start doing some finishing work, so I wanted to bring it out. I want to throw some weight in it, run it around, see how the stability is with the duals all the way around on the back and the new placement of the bed. I also actually tilted the bed forward a little bit more, so now that it's a little past level. Before, the bed was kind of kicked back and then towards the end a little bit, and you get hauling the mail down a bumpy section of road, it was kind of losing some of the load off the back end of it. So I shouldn't have that problem anymore unless I'm on an incline. But I think that is about it. I've still got to figure out front bumper situation and get some more weight down low on the front of it, because as you saw coming up that incline there, that dump bed, even empty, it's definitely got way more weight to the back than it does the front. So we'll throw some rocks or concrete or bricks in this thing and run them around and see how it does, and we'll go from there. Go with 3 bricks for the first test. That's a good bit of weight in here scale wise. See, the front end is still super heavy or super light. It doesn't want to turn at all. I think I'm still going to have to figure something out to make the suspension in the rear a little bit stiffer as well. Still getting a lot of body roll on here, even with those bigger, heavier shocks. After I get some weight put on the front of it and stiffen the rear end up, hopefully that'll help out with the lack of turning that I got going on right now as well. That should have been a pretty easy turn for it, instead of having to do a multi-point turn. We'll see how it does backing up a hill. Kind of a 180 turn going up this hill. This was originally the first dig site that I started with the excavator and whatnot, so definitely needed to be able to go up and down this one for sure. I'm also thinking I probably need to go ahead and put this truck on a Fly Sky radio, because this factory TRX6 radio, the trigger's starting to get a little sticky on me. So we've got a whole bunch of body roll here, almost to the point of tipping. See if we can't straighten this out a little bit. I want to get it back up to this hole right here is what we're going to be filling in. Got groundhogs up here. Yeah. I like to have those holes closed up when I'm up here working. That way nothing comes running out at me. I'll start digging up here. And that is really soft gravel right there that the groundhogs had just kicked out from the last time I filled their hole in, and this thing actually clawed up it pretty well. Now the other thing I'm curious about is, with it being on such a downward facing incline, I'm not 100% sure where my limit is on being able to dump the bed out. I did have this brick here wedged in pretty good, so that might be part of my issue, but that's my limit on how far the bed will dump. I think I might be alright with that, because that's a pretty healthy incline. Now, even though it's not at all scale, right now I'm still dumping that bed by hand. Eventually I do want to put a little push rod actuator on there and hook it up. That way I can dump the bed with a button. I've found a couple that are rated for a pretty decent amount of weight. They're not terribly expensive, but I've got other projects going on at the moment. That's not really very high on my list. That did pretty well. Throw something else in here and take a run up the hillside. Got a couple pretty good sized rocks in here. It's not overly loaded, but those are small enough that they will shift side to side. So we'll try to take it up around part of the loop up here on the hillside and see what happens. I think I've got one shock that is sticking pretty hard. I believe it'll be the middle axle shock on the driver's side. That's one of the older shocks that I had. It seems like it sticks a little bit, so I don't know if I got a little bend on that shock shaft or what, but I'm gonna have to get that figured out. I want to take a challenging line, but I want to be able to have a fighting chance at it as well. Let's be real, with a full load, we're not going to be out here rock crawling, but there will be obstacles in the way in some spots. We've already got tires completely off the ground here. And we lost our load. Alright, reloaded, swapped out the bigger rock for a smaller one. We'll take a less aggressive route through here, see if I can keep them in there. I may end up having to put some sort of a tailgate on this bed as well. Ooh, we may end up rolling over here. Nope. Alright. It held its line, but yet again, lack of turning is really hurting us. So I think where we're probably going to have the most issue is on inclines. Without having a tailgate, it doesn't take much of an incline for a load to want to slip out the back of that dump bed. Probably won't be able to get much more of an incline than what we got right here. So I don't know how this next section is going to work out. We've got the turning radius of a full-size truck almost at this point. Probably lose our load on this first little spot here. Yep. That's not going to work out. I think we're definitely going to have to get a tailgate. I'm just offsetting that small rock to the passenger side, trying to even out the sticky shock on the driver's side. But as you can see, we're leaned over pretty far here. There's a lot of little changes that are definitely going to have to be made with this thing. You know, this is not at all set up to do this. I'm just kind of making do with what I got for the time being, because I'm really enjoying the heavy equipment side of the hobby. And when it comes to options for dump trucks, they're few and far between. There's a whole bunch of really cheap ones that aren't really worth a damn, and then it seems like there's a huge jump up to there's nothing in the middle, and then you get up into the actual hydraulic trucks, and those are a few $1,000s. And I don't know about y'all, but I don't got it like that. So kind of making my own is pretty much my only option, to have a dump truck that is capable enough to run out here on terrain like this. The same Huina brand, or however you pronounce it, their little 6-wheel dump truck that kind of goes along with the rest of their equipment that we got. It looks good, but they it seems to be that they're only good on flat, hard packed ground. They're only rear wheel drive. The front axle does not have power to it, and their ground clearance is so low that even the smallest of rocks like that will have you hung up, and then it doesn't have enough power to push over them. So I have seen people take the big Tamiya 6x6 monster truck chassis. They actually do have a Volvo rock truck body on one of those chassis, but that's even less scale than this. It's a monster truck. There's quite a few people that have put a servo actuator so that it has a dump bed, and then 6-wheel drive and 6-wheel steering, and they seem like they can actually haul a pretty good bit of weight, but you know, it's still a monster truck at heart. So I think that trying to turn a trail truck into a rock truck is probably the best option, even though it's probably going to take a lot more trial and error and work. As you see, I'm having all kinds of issues, and I've been slowly working on this thing for a good while. Can't believe I actually made that little bump right there and kept the rock in. I think that the screws sticking out on the inside helped me on that one. There's no weight on the front end, and not being able to turn is really killing performance here. But if you take your time and don't get into a bad spot, really pay attention to what you're doing, it seems like it's doable. Yeah, I wanted that rock there. I did that on purpose. So, you know, it's a work in progress, but it is working to some extent. So I'm not complaining. Best option I've got so far. I will say that having those duals on the rear axles has definitely helped out a lot. So I've got a pretty good idea of what I need to do now. I would really like to get that bed up another couple inches, but unless I get a whole new body and basically start over on that, the bed's pretty much going to stay where it is now, just because I really don't want to chop any more off of that cab. I may end up doing another creep body that kind of fits around the dump bed, kind of how I did with this one, but it would look a lot better. So I don't know, we'll see, but I definitely need to get that rear end stiffened up and get weight on the front of it, and then start looking into the dump bed itself as far as getting a tailgate and figuring out some sort of lift mechanism. And then the biggest project is probably going to be the wheels and tires, getting all those unglued and debeaded and then mounted back up on bead locks. All the bead locks will be the ones that I have on the front here, so they will all match. But I think that'll do it. It's not a whole lot of action in this video, but I've had a few people ask about this, so I wanted to give a little bit of an update on where I'm at, and I have made some progress this weekend, so we'll leave it at that. got any questions about how I've done anything and, you know, finagled everything together, ask away. There's really not much to this yet. So, hope y'all have a good one. See you in the next one. Later.